Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is 10 Minute Tuesday, so welcome to 10 Minute Tuesdays. My name is CrysDawna. This is my channel. I think I already said the word channel a couple times. Anyways, if you are not new here, welcome back, friends and family. Make sure you guys are subscribing. Every Tuesday we do a video, kind of break down certain things. I don't know. Sometimes it's about furniture, sometimes it's about different things. And then every Thursday I do a furniture video. So today I wanted to go over something that you guys asked me a lot of questions about. I will be repainting this piece right here that I've painted a few times. I'm just not, we always say it's paint and I want to paint over it. So that's what my furniture video will be about this Thursday. But today I really wanted to break down tannins for you. And so I stripped down this area right here so that I could go over what tannins are and how to prevent them in depth for you guys today. So stay tuned if you guys want to hear that. Stay tuned if you guys want to learn about tannins and how to prevent them and all the things. I wanted to take the opportunity this week to go over tannins with you. So I stripped down this part right here. This is a mahogany hutch. I'm going to go over it with Dixie Belle's fluff, which is a gray white. And I want to show you through this process what a tannin will do to your lighter color. So we're going to use white because clearly that's the lightest color of all the colors. So I'm going to apply a coat of fluff onto this piece. Now, right here, it doesn't look too bad, right? But when I go over it again with the fluff, you can see the difference in the color. So the top is that first coat. The second is just the second coat of fluff. That is not what it's supposed to look like. The bottom is what it's supposed to look like. The top, that's not what it's supposed to look like. Once it dries, it goes darker again. So here's a third coat on here. And you can see that it goes back to that dingy color. That is not what it's supposed to look like. You've got the first coat, the second coat, now we've got that third coat. We're gonna put another coat on here so that you can see. It doesn't matter how many coats of paint you put on here. If you do not use a blocking primer to get rid of those tannins, it's just gonna continue to get dingy. So how do we fix that? I use Dixie Belle B.O.S.S. It's a water-based blocking primer. They've got white, which is really great for whites and lighter colors. They've got gray, which is really good for anything, good for reds, and they've got clear. So you can use this as well to prevent smells, and so that's where your clear would come in. If you're going to distress and you don't want white underneath, we use clear. But today we're going to use white. So I like to use a good synthetic brush to apply my blocking primer so that way I don't have any brush strokes underneath. So we're going to apply some B.O.S. on the top where I didn't put the paint. Then we're going to apply a layer of it over where we had already done the paint. So this will show you that you can spot fix it. I'm going to go in with the second coat. So you want to do one coat, wait a few hours, go and do your second coat, wait a few hours, sometimes 24 hours, and then you will paint with your lighter color. So right now we're doing our second coat of B.O.S., but this will show you too that you can spot fix. So if you start painting and you see that bleed through, you can just go over the paint. So that bottom, how we went over the paint. Now I'm going over that B.O.S. with the fluff so that you can see what that color should look like on this hutch versus what the tannins made it look like. So now it's dry and you can see that it stayed bright. It didn't go dingy like the other one. That is why it's so important. You see the bottom, it's dingy, the top is the fluff. So that's why using a blocking primer is so important. Now, I'm going to show you in darker colors why you really don't need a blocking primer. So I'm going to go over this with Caviar. Now I will talk to you about it a little bit later in the conclusion about how I have had one piece in the 5 years that had bleed through with a darker color. But we have Caviar on the bottom. Now I'm going to put a coat of B.O.S. And I just want you to see that there's really not a difference. You're not going to see bleed through with the darker color. And there's not a difference. When you put that B.O.S. on there, it's not going to make it look any better or brighter or anything like that. And so I just want to save you product, really. So I'm going to go over that B.O.S. with the Caviar. And then I'm also going to do a little light strip over the Caviar on the bottom that didn't have the B.O.S. And once it's dry, you'll see that there's really no difference. So the top has a coat over the B.O.S. The bottom has one coat. Now this part's going to have two coats. You really cannot see a difference. So the top's over B.O.S. Obviously, there's some white streaks. The bottom is over a coat the second coat, and then that middle. But so you see the difference between the whites? There's not a huge difference between the darks. So I have had this paint on this piece for about a year or so, and I'm showing you, I cannot scratch it off with my finger. So a lot of people think that they need a blocking primer for these chalk-like paints in order for it to adhere better. That's not true. I'm sitting here with a heat gun. It was a good, 15 seconds before it started bubbling. So I have to use, I'm showing you, I have to use a heat gun and a heavy-duty scraper to get this paint off, okay? This did not have the blocking primer on it. As long as you prep it like I tell you in the end, you clean it really well, you don't need to worry about using a primer with chalk-like paint. It's not peeling off in sections like a latex type paint where you can peel it off in sheets. So I'm going to show you right here. I'm going to heat it up again and scrape it off. Then after that, I am going to try to scrape it off with my scraper without heating it and compromising the paint, and it's not going to scrape off like that. So this is just a visual for you to see that once this paint is cured, it is on the piece. Okay, everybody, so I hope you found that video helpful and how to identify tannins, what they are. Truth be told, if I am painting something light, it doesn't matter what wood it's going over. I always use a blocking primer just in case, because I have seen tannins in oak and other things like that. You will see them more in mahogany and cherry, sometimes dark walnut, older pieces where the stain has been on that piece for a long time. When you sand pieces, a lot of times that can open up the tannins in a piece. So when you go over those sanded areas, you may see bleed through on there. So my advice is if you are using any lighter colors, just use a blocking primer right away, and that will just save you so much time. Also, at the very end, I showed you, because a lot of people think they have to use these blocking primers or primers when they're using chalk paints, chalk mineral paint. You don't have to do that. If you prep it properly, number one, always, doesn't matter what paint you're using, clean your piece really, really well. And then two, for me, if it's super shiny, I just scuff sand it to get that shine off. Make sure I dust that. So you want to clean, then scuff sand, because if you scuff sand before you clean, then you could get all those oils and dirt and grime into the surface. So that's why you always clean, then scuff sand. Then you can take a damp rag and wipe away all the dust, or use a dusting brush and wipe it away. Also, unless it's something that's made of glass or super shiny, then I use a bonding primer. I had a piece a few weeks ago that I did that was ornate, and it had some resin and some wood on it, and I used Slick Stick, which is a bonding primer, on that because it was so ornate. I, one, didn't want to battle the plastic, not adhering to the plastic, and so I just, a fix-all was Slick Stick, plus it was ornate. So even if it was wood, I probably, because it was so ornate, Slick Stick was a better option. So it really is piece dependent, but this will show you that really with lighter colors, you do need to use one of those blocking primers, and with darker colors, it's not necessary. I have had bleed through once. In the 5 years that I've done this, and hundreds of pieces, one time have I had bleed through with a piece, and I could see it through the darker paint. But it wasn't black, it was like a deeper green color, almost like a forest green, even lighter than that. So, you know, if I was gonna have super bad tannins. Now, sometimes you have pieces where, you know, maybe your water-based blocker is not gonna work as well, and then you can go over it with shellac or something like that. And then sometimes, especially those of you in Australia, New Zealand, Bali pieces are a nightmare, and sometimes even shellac and those things won't help, and you may as well just forget painting a lighter color with those. Just go darker. So anyways, I hope this was helpful, and this kind of gave you a visual of tannins and how you can use a blocking primer to fix them, prevent them. And that's really it, guys. So I'll see you on Thursday. Have an amazing week, and I will see you guys later. Bye.